Hey guys, welcome to the Bin Zone. On today's video, we're talking about From Season 3, Episode 4, and there's a lot to break down because a lot happened. Apparently, Fatima likes things bloody delicious now, and Randall may be more important than we ever thought because this is the third time that they've surrounded Randall and haven't killed him yet, and now the monsters are negotiating hostages. And Tilly might be more dangerous than we thought because the creature seems to be more afraid of her. And is Jade slowly becoming Christopher? And is the puppet Jasper coming back to life? All of this will be discussed in this video. So hit that subscribe button for more From breakdowns and let's just dive into it. The episode pretty much picks up right where the last episode ended, and the ambulance is in front of the fallen tree. We already know when you see this tree, you're in Fromsville. But the real interesting part about this scene is the fact that they were following the GPS and they still ended up in Fromsville. And there's no traffic, even though they were surrounded by traffic. So somehow, while they were driving, they somehow ended up in the Fromsville dimension, furthering my theory that this is a pocket dimension that pops up wherever it needs to pop up. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but the crows are still acting aggressive following Tilly's tarot reading. So I want to keep my eyes on them because it seems like the crows themselves actually have a pulse on what's going on in Fromsville. And depending on how they behave, you can kind of tell things are going to go crazy later on in the episode. So Tabitha knows they have to get back to town, so she tells them they have to start driving because at the time of day that it is now, Tabitha already knows they're in Fromsville. So if they don't get to safety before nightfall, all hell's gonna break loose. So she's trying to get them to drive back in the opposite direction. Because remember, this entire town is a giant circle. So even though the tree's blocking them that way, if they drive in the opposite direction, they still end up back in Fromsville. And back in Fromsville, Ethan is looking at pictures of his mom. He's missing his mother. And if you notice, look how far Jim is away from Ethan and his mom and sister in this picture, showing that Jim is losing his family slowly but surely. And that's when they decide to attack this poor little boy. The phone rings, Ethan picks it up, and it's Thomas. This psychological warfare that they're playing with this family, remember, Thomas also called Jim last episode. So now they're using Thomas not only to attack Jim, but to attack the family as well. And the crazy part about all this is the fact that quote unquote Thomas tells Ethan about Tabitha and the ambulance. Now we know why Thomas is doing this. Remember in the first episode, Ethan saw the goat outside and ran, and that's when they got their hands on Tien Shin. So they know if they plant the idea in Ethan's head, he's gonna run outside during nighttime and cause all chaos. So this whole Thomas angle is definitely just them messing with this family. Because when Jim comes in, gets the phone from Ethan, Thomas tells Jim that these are not your children anymore, showing that the town is preying on his fear about losing his kids after what happened to Thomas, but also driving a wedge between him and his kids. Because the way he starts acting afterwards, every time something happens to Jim, he kind of doesn't know how to effectively communicate it with his kids, so he ends up taking it out on them, and that further drives a wedge between him and his kids, which I think the town is trying to do in a way to break him. Speaking of broken, Elgin just can't catch a break. He's looking at the dead crow, and Tilly comes and starts talking to him about the tarot cards. And they brought up a good point. This place is not the right place to be messing with dark forces. This place is not the right place to be using tarot cards because introducing any type of weird energy into this mix is just asking for trouble. But like I've theorized in my other videos, I think Tilly's in on it, so I believe she's purposely doing all this. Because why else would she go to Elgin afterwards? And it's after he's speaking to her, he sees the witch or drowned lady. Because now things are really interesting. Because initially we thought she was after him to harm him, but she needs help. So maybe she's not Tilly, but Tilly has something to do with it. Which could be why immediately after this scene we get a Fatima scene, because Fatima is going crazy this episode. But we'll get more into that towards the end, because Fatima's baby's cravings are through, let's just say it just took it to another level here. But that shows us things in the town are changing, and Victor reaffirms this when he's talking to Sarah and they're building the fort. He's letting her know it's never snowed in the town before. Victor has been here for over 40 years and never saw snow. And suddenly now it's snowing. Now a lot of moving parts are moving different. It's snowing. The way they're trying to break Boyd and the ending with what they did to Randall, you can see that the town is behaving differently, right down to the crows. And Victor, being the resident historian, has a story to tell us. And this story is interesting. Let's just dive into the story a little bit. Victor is telling us about Christopher. Remember, Christopher is the same guy from the picture when he was a child, which is the same guy that was seeing the same symbols as Jade. And Christopher tells us how much of a good guy he was and how his slow descent to madness started happening. He started seeing the symbols everywhere. He started hyper focusing on it. He started withdrawing and being more cranky. Does that remind you guys of somebody? Jade. Jade is going down this path, even to the point where he's seeing things that aren't there. Christopher was talking to his puppet, Jasper, and we've seen Jasper, and not only have we seen Jasper, Jade has seen Jasper, showing us how they're pulling Jade ever so closely to becoming the next Christopher. The cycle just keeps repeating itself. It's crazy that things here seem to be working on a pattern. The only issue is we haven't quite cracked that pattern just yet, because every time we start talking about Christopher or we start focusing on Victor, it automatically flips to Jade, showing us the dichotomy of the two characters and showing us his eventual downfall. The only difference I think with Jade is the fact that the people in the town are actually gravitating towards him, which could be why they killed Chen Chen. Chen Chen liked him, and because she liked him, she was the first one in the town to actually like Jade, and everyone else started liking him. So with her gone and him being his insufferable self again, it'll put him down the slow descent to Christopher. But if him and Kenny could keep that bond going, it might stop it. And that's why the town's acting differently, because it's a cycle that's supposed to keep repeating itself. But now the new players are moving differently, forcing the town to actually move differently. And we see the town acting differently throughout this entire episode, because the way this attack goes down, the ambulance attack, it's nothing like the monsters have moved before. First, they lit a trap to get the ambulance to stop moving, because we've noticed these monsters can't run. So if the ambulance just kept driving around all night till it became daytime, like drive a couple miles, wait till they're surrounded, take off again, and keep doing that until it's daytime, the monsters could not kill them. So they laid a trap on the ground and got the AMTs out the car and slaughtered both of them. After that, they chased the cop down. I actually like this cop character, even though she ended up shooting Nikki. It's not her fault, and Boyd was totally out of pocket for snapping on her. I like her character because she's practical, and not because when the going got tough, she just left Tabitha and Victor's dad, but I actually like her real human response to everything that's going on. But I don't know if you guys noticed, after they killed the EMTs and they chased her off, they left Tabitha and Victor's dad in the car alone. That allowed Boyd and Jim to come into the ambulance and save them, which also looked to be part of their plan. This was all bait, because ultimately what they wanted to do was catch Randall. I think they felt threatened by Randall, because the fact that Randall knows their movements, knows their patterns. He was explaining to Boyd on the bus how he watches them every night, and he's going to do whatever it takes to get them out of this town. Remember last season, he tied up Donna to a tree. If there's a sniffing of we can get out this town, Randall's going 100% after that. So the fact that they went after him purposely shows that he's a threat, and not just him. And then they gave Boyd the ultimate choice. It was Boyd, Tabitha, Victor's dad, and Jim for Randall. They traded Boyd Randall's life. And the fact that Randall's Randall and Boyd is pragmatic made the choice super easy. But it goes to show you just how far they're willing to go to make sure they get their hands on Randall. And that showed us the people that survived the cicada attacks in season 2 are linked to these monsters. So Julie could be next. Notice that Thomas hasn't called Julie yet. They've messed with Tabitha, they've messed with Ethan, they've messed with Jim, but they haven't messed with Julie yet, showing that they're keeping her in their back pocket, so when they really want to attack the family, they have an in. Because we see when they wanted to get Randall, they caused the cicadas to come and they surrounded him, but they did not kill him. They're actually using him to still break Boyd, because after Nikki died, Donna's breaking down. Even though Boyd was close to snapping on the cop, he's keeping it together after he saw Donna break down. But even then, it's not enough. They didn't kill Randall, but they left an idea in Randall's head. Boyd left you. Not just that, Boyd also has to live with the fact that he abandoned Randall. And these two characters have almost clashed on numerous occasions this season and last season. So you know Randall's a hothead, Boyd doesn't play that. They're on a collision course. Not just them being on a collision course, but you also have Tabitha beefing with the cop. But the most egregious thing in this entire episode, let's get down to what is going on with this demon child in Fatima. Seriously, it went from rotten vegetables to eating corpse. Fatima is literally carrying the spawn of Frumsville in her stomach. And it's showing that this thing is a monster. It went from eating the rotten vegetables to eating corpse, and Fatima is attracted to it. That's the most interesting part about all of this, is the fact that she went to the body and went after it. It's not like she saw the wound or anything. She went there and started consuming it. And this evolution to eating people happened immediately after the tarot reading. And as soon as Tilly's involved, that's when that drowned woman comes to Elgin. I think all of it's connected. And the real connection is Tilly is behind it. She's nurturing this demon child for Fatima. And the woman is trying to warn Elgin. That's the real key and crux to all of it. Because it only shows up when he's awake, when Tilly's around. And every time she starts to get too chummy with Elgin, that's when this creature shows up and starts talking to him. And even after the tarot reading and the crow attacks, she didn't tell anybody about what Fatima's eating. What was interesting about this episode is the fact that this was one of the first episodes where people were actually telling each other things. Jay told Kenny and Christy about the visions he's having. Julie was able to share with Ethan what she saw. Even Randall opened up to Boyd. So these characters are sharing information, and the one character who isn't is Tilly. And that's so far who the biggest mysteries wrapped up all around this season. All the evidence is pointing directly at Tilly being involved in this. And I wonder what her end goal is. Are they trying to create a hybrid monster? Or maybe, is this the way the monsters are created? Because they were once human. We know it's not the dead town folk because they just slaughtered them. Maybe the people who give birth in the town give birth to monsters. That's why they need the children after all. It's all starting to add up. Victor's mom always talks about saving the kids. Tabitha needed to see something in Victor's house that she didn't see. What she did see was painting of kids. All of this revolves around saving Ethan, saving the children. They're really the key to getting out of all of this, but I just can't put my finger on exactly how. Do you guys have any theories about it? Let me know in the comment section below. And guys, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and until next time, peace.